Kansas Phi Beta Lambda. We have a very special guest this evening, David Meltzer, the co-founder of Sports One Marketing, and formerly served as the CEO of the renowned Leigh Steinberg Sports and Entertainment Agency, which was the inspiration for the movie Jerry Maguire. His life's mission is to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. He's a 3-time international best-selling author, top 100 business coach, the executive producer of Entrepreneur's #1 digital business show, Elevator Pitch, and host of the top entrepreneur podcast, The Playbook. His newest book, Game Time Decision Making, was a #1 new release. David has been recognized by Variety Magazine as their Sports Humanitarian of the Year, been awarded the Ellis Island Medal of Honor, and was an associate producer for the docudrama Think and Grow Rich: The Legacy. David, our mics are muted, and the Zoom call is yours.
Thank you so much. Well, I look forward to giving you a little bit of a speech here, but most importantly, Q&A, because I'm more interested than interesting. One of the best lessons that I've ever learned. I thought maybe I give a few minutes of a background for those that don't know you and combine it with some lessons. What I'd love to do is, my mission in life is to empower others to be happy. And my lessons revolve around 2 currencies, which hopefully become focuses of yours. One is the currency of money. It's an object of energy that we put into the flow to get what we want. And how do we blend that with faith? Another object of energy that we put into the flow, our beliefs, our faith, non-religious in nature, whatever your religions are fine, but faith to me is my belief in what I can do and what I can achieve. And my goal is to hopefully expand and accelerate your journey to happiness, of making more money, helping more people, and having more fun with what you're doing. When I grew up, my whole existence was about that sign behind me. I believed that money bought happiness and love. And the reason I did is I only had one goal since I was 5, and that was to be rich. The reason I wanted to be rich is my dad left when I was 5. I had 6 kids, a single mom. My mom was an extraordinary mother. In fact, my siblings are extremely successful because of my mom. She believed, like maybe some of your parents, doctor, lawyer, failure was her motto. The fetus wasn't fully developed till after graduate school. We could do whatever we wanted. As long as it was after graduate school, we could pick and choose whatever we wanted to do with ourselves. And my mom had 2 great secrets of parenting. One was to wake everybody up at 5 a.m. every day. Her philosophy was, if you had no energy at the end of the day, you couldn't get into any trouble. And so as much as I wanted to go out late on a Friday or Saturday night, it became impossible when you're waking up every morning at 5 a.m. And then the second one, my mom was, although she didn't look like it, a black belt in the martial arts. So I always like to tell kids that, she was a 3rd-degree black belt in the martial art of Jewish guilt. So if any of your parents use guilt on you, or wake you up early, or tell you you can do whatever you want after graduate school, you can feel my story. But I wanted to be rich because I was super happy as a kid, but the only time I wasn't happy was financial stress. Car broke down, couldn't go to summer camp, worried about college, had to get a scholarship. I lived in a world of not enough, a scarce world where everything happened to me. I was a victim. I would always ask, why me? Why don't I have this? Why me? And I decided that if I could just be rich, then I would be happy all the time. And I could buy my mom a house and a car, which I really wanted to do, because the only time I saw my mom not happy was when she was crying because a car broke down, or the dishwasher, or she couldn't afford something or to provide for us, and she felt terrible about it. So through my journey, that's all I considered. And there was positives and negatives about believing money buys happiness and love. And the positive of being driven by money is that you leave your options open. And one of the things that I see as a problem is that for younger people, I got 4 kids, by the way, so I speak from a little bit of experience. I have a 21, a 19, and 16-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son. But I'm concerned about the vision that we have. When I was driven by money, the nice thing was that I always kept my options open. I didn't limit my point of entry. I wasn't so worried about some structured, closed-ended journey, a straight line between where I was and where I wanted to be. Because the only criteria of what decisions I made was where I could make the most money. And originally, I thought I'd make the most money playing professional football. I worked extremely hard. In fact, I came up with my definition of happiness and success trying to be a football player. By the way, my family, I am not joking, but if I graduated summa cum laude from Harvard, I wouldn't even be in the top 5 of my family, or would be it'd be an achievement, but nothing special. Where when I played college football, or even high school football, I think I was the only one in my entire family of hundreds of cousins that had ever done so. So to be a professional football player was a far stretch for me. But I came up with this idea that in order for me to be a professional football player, I needed to enjoy, meaning I needed to find the light, the love, and the lessons. I needed to learn to love what I was doing consistently every day, persistently without quit, in the pursuit of my own potential. And I've lived by that definition of happiness and fulfillment my entire life, that I've stayed focused on enjoying the consistent everyday, persistent without quit pursuit of my potential. But in college, I reached my potential. In fact, still to this day, I think the closest I've come to potential of my own is to be an average college football player. My very first play, I played against a guy named Christian Okoye, who was better known as the Nigerian Nightmare. The next season, he was the AFC Player of the Year, so he's quite a talent. But he ran me over my very first play in college, and I was lying on my back, and I said to myself, doctor, lawyer, or failure. This is not going to be the method that I'm going to get rich. And so I decided I'd be rich by being a doctor. Wanting to be a doctor taught me the greatest lesson probably that I can teach you. And my older brother was a doctor. So after my football season, I went over to visit him, and he was in the hospital. I visited him, and the first thing out of my mouth at 18 years old, wanting to be a doctor, pre-med at a very good college, I said, man, I hate hospitals. He looked at me and he almost fell over. He said, wait, what'd you just say? I said, I hate hospitals. He goes, you're going to be a doctor. You know that. I said, yeah, but I'm not going to be a hospital doctor. I was 18. I'm going to be a sports doctor. I'll be in sidelines and locker rooms, and I'll never see a hospital. He gave me this piece of advice. And if you're going to write down something, definitely write down this. He said, David, you need to be more interested than interesting. You need to be more interested than interesting. You need to pay attention to and give intention to the coincidences that you want in your life. You need to study things, my friend. You need to utilize the mathematical equation of luck. Attention plus intention equals the coincidences. That's where the luck's going to come from. Not only are you going to utilize the law of Goya, get off your ass and do everything you can, but it will create the law of attraction to create and attract the coincidences that you want in your life. So I immediately decided, if I can't be a doctor, I better be a lawyer. They make plenty of money. In fact, I reverse engineered what type of lawyer made the most money, and I found out oil and gas litigators make the most money. So I went to the top law school for oil and gas, for maritime law, which was Tulane University down in New Orleans, and studied really hard. But once again, because I believe money buys happiness and love, because I wanted to buy my mom a house and a car, I kept all of my options open. And so when I graduated law school, I had a choice. Should I be an oil and gas litigator? I got offered a job with an oil company, a 6-figure job, well on my way to buy my mom a house and a car. But I also was looking for a sales job, and I received an offer from one in the internet, selling legal research online, where they hired lawyers to sell legal research in 1992, when you used to drag around an XT computer on a luggage cart with a monochrome screen to show how a 9600 baud modem internet worked on DOS. And I decided that I was going to take that job because it had a comp plan of $250,000 a year. Well, I went to my mom, my trusted advisor, and I asked her, what should I do? Without blinking, my mom said, David, you need to be a real lawyer. This internet job, it's a fad. The internet is not going to make any money for you. If you don't take the law job, it's the biggest mistake of your life. Another great lesson for all of you: just because somebody loves you does not mean they give you good advice. So many times we take advice from people that don't know what the heck they're talking about because they love us. They're family, friends, associates. They care so much about us, but they don't know what they don't know. Don't ask a second grade teacher about the internet in 1992. Bad idea. My mom loves me probably more than she should love me, but that was probably the worst advice I've ever received. Thank goodness I decided to vote for what I wanted. I decided at that time that I was going to vote for what I wanted in my life, to elect what I wanted. And I wasn't going to stop voting for what other people wanted in my life. Because what I found is when I voted for what other people wanted in my life, I ended up getting what they wanted and resenting them for it. Or even worse, which was never in my nature, I've seen so many people vote for what they don't want all the time. They're so worried and focused in on, oh my God, I hope that question isn't on the test. Oh my God, I hope that question isn't on the test. Guess what the first question on the test always is? When you vote for what you don't want, you're going to elect what you don't want in your life. So vote for what you want in your life. And that's what I did. In 9 months out of law school, I was a millionaire. I bought my mom a house and a car. And from that point on, everything I did for the next decade reaffirmed that money buys love and happiness. I became in my mind at least, my mom's favorite child. I bought her a house and a car. I then bought my siblings things. I ended up, our company sold for $3.4 billion in 1995. I went up to the Silicon Valley. Everything still reaffirming that money buys love and happiness. I went from the world of not enough, where I was a victim, into a new world of just enough, where everything was for me. And in that world, I was buying things to be happy. I was buying more things to be happy. I was buying different things to be happy. I was buying things I didn't need to be happy. I'd even buy things to impress people I didn't like to be happy. And all of this, led me to the Silicon Valley. I raised hundreds of millions of dollars. By the time I was 30, everything in my life revolved around money. My identity revolved around money. I defined myself. My nickname was Money Money. I call my friends call me Midas. I owned more of everything than I ever needed. And I even got to marry my dream girl, who hated me in sixth grade. My best friend, Rob, I'd known her since the fourth grade. I asked my best friend, Rob, to ask her to go steady my wife now today. And she said, no, tell him to ask me himself. And then my friend Rob embarrassed me in front of everyone and said, dude, she said no. So I threw an egg at her. So my wife hated me from the time she was in sixth grade through my college career. And so in my mind, I must have redeemed myself, because the only difference between me at 25 and when I got married at 30 was I was rich. So everything that I had revolved around money. And then at 30, I got my first warning that maybe I was on the wrong track. I was in my dream home with my wife, and my father sent me a birthday present. And it was the first present that he had sent me in 20 years. My dad was my hero at 5 and my 0 by 10. And the reason he was my 0 by 10 is he forgot my birthday when I was 10 years old, which was bad enough. But what made it worse is he lied to me and said, I didn't forget your birthday, Dave. I don't believe in birthdays. Now, meanwhile, I was 10 years old. He had given all my siblings birthday presents. He had bought his new, young wife a birthday present. He celebrated his own birthday. At that time at 10, I hated him because I realized he was a liar, a cheater, a manipulator, overseller, and back-end seller. But he sends me this gift after 20 years. I open it, I put it on. It's a sport coat and it fits perfectly. And I start to cry. And my wife's like, why are you crying? I said, my dad finally gets it. I've dreamed for 20 years of reestablishing a relationship with my dad, and he really cares about me. He gave me this jacket. It even fits, which means he asked somebody what size I wear. And as I open it up to see if it's an Armani jacket or if it says especially made for David Meltzer's birthday, he had torn out all the pockets of the jacket. I was crushed. I looked at my wife. I got so mad, and I called my father, and he answered, and I said, Dad, why are you punishing me? He goes, what are you talking about? I said, I got your gift. Why are you punishing me? He said, what are you talking about? I said, it has no pockets. Why would you give me a jacket that I can't wear? He said, it was not for wearing. I said, well, what's it for? He said, it's to remind you that you're just like me. You need to know that money does not buy love or happiness. I want you buried in that jacket. I want you to hang the jacket in the closet. I want you to see it every day to remind you you can't take anything with you when you're gone. Money is not everything, son. You need to make a change. Well, I wasn't ready to hear it. I said, I'm nothing like you. You're a liar, cheater, manipulator, overseller, back and seller. I'm nothing like you. I hate you. And I hung up. 6 years later, in 2006, I was now the CEO of the most notable sports agency in the world. Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment, over 2 billion in management, people like Sabathia Ramirez, Warren Moon, Troy Aikman, Steve Young, Vander Holyfield, the biggest and the best athletes. They made the movie Jerry Maguire about my firm. I was surrounding myself with the celebrities, athletes, and entertainers at the biggest events in the world: the Super Bowl, Pro Bowl, Masters, Kentucky Derby, the Breeders' Cup, the biggest award shows, the ESPYs, Emmys, Oscars, Grammys. I was surrounding myself with the richest people at the greatest places. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't happy. And I took my best friend, Rob, since the fourth grade, the one that asked my wife to go steady. I took him golfing and I wanted to invite him to the Masters. I was going to take him to the cabins with Curtis Strange, one of the legacy legends of golf. I was going to introduce him to the Hall of Fame friends I have, everyone from Marshall Falk to Warren and Troy and Wayne Gretzky. I was going to show him the time of his life. So I said, Rob, why don't you come to the Masters? We're going to have an amazing time. Now, Rob was a great guy and a true friend. And he looked at me and he said, I'm not going. I said, well, what do you mean you're not going to go? He goes, I don't like who you hang out with and what you guys are doing. I said, come on, Rob, it's going to be extraordinary. It's a once in a life bucket list time. He said, sorry, Dave, I don't want to do it. I said, but I'm not doing what those guys are doing, Rob. Just come with me. He said, Dave, you can lie to me, but don't lie to yourself. Now, there's a book written saying, don't take yes for an answer. I've been taking for over a decade yes for an answer from everyone. And Rob in 2006 was the first person to tell me the truth, that I had lost my values, that I had lost who I was, and I've been lying to myself for years. And it's really the first time as I drove home, I realized how unhappy I was. I started to think about maybe money doesn't buy love and happiness, and started thinking about the things that I was doing and the people I had surrounded myself with. 2 weeks later, in 2006, my life would change. I asked my wife if I could go to the Grammy Awards with one of my clients, a rapper named Little John. And my wife said, absolutely not. You've been drinking and partying way too much. You're hanging out with the wrong people. You have 3 daughters under 10. You need to stay at home and spend time with your family and start paying attention to your business. I lied to my wife, told her I had a business meeting, changed clothes in the car, went to the Grammy Awards anyway. At 5:30 in the morning, came home wasted out of my mind. And there she was, my wife, waiting for me, about to change my life. I looked at her. She said, Dave, I'm leaving. I said, what? Well, I'm not happy. I said, what are you talking about? She said, I'm not happy. And you better take stock in who you are and what you want to become, because you're going to end up dead. And I don't want to be around to look at it. Well, I wish I could have told you I was ready to hear that, because I wasn't either. And I told her to F off, and I went to bed and woke up in the morning thinking, how am I going to take her happiness? How am I going to take her love? Well, money buys love and happiness. I was going to take all of that money as I left. So as I was calling and thinking about what lawyer to call to get divorced, I looked over in the closet and there was that jacket. I've told this story 1,000 times, barely can get it out without choking up because it meant that much to me. There was a jacket that my dad gave me. Father who I thought knew nothing. Dad who had left me, never gave child support, felt as if he didn't understand me or what my life was about. And there it was. And I realized as I looked at that jacket, I don't hate my father. I hated myself. That I was the liar, the cheater, the manipulator, overseller, and back-end seller. And I better take stock in who I was, because not only was I going to lose my wife and everything that I had, but I was going to lose my life. I was on the wrong path. And so I came up with 4 values and 5 daily practices over 15 years that allowed me. In 2008, by the way, I'm one of the few people that bottomed out 2 years before he lost everything. 2008, I lost over $100 million. But I used these values and these practices that I'm going to teach you today in order to effectuate getting it all back a different way. I shifted the paradigm of value in my life. Instead of giving to receive, a trade, a negotiation, a judgment, a condition on everything, I would give money so I could get acknowledgement. I'd give money so I could get people, my name on things. I'd give money so I could get love. I'd give money. Money bought love. No longer in my life was I going to allow that to happen. No longer would I give to receive as a negotiation or a trade. I was going to focus in on receiving, not to live in a world of not enough where I was a victim and everything happened to me, not to live in a world of just enough where things were for me, buying things I don't need to impress people I don't like. But moreover, I was going to live in a new world of more than enough of everything. Concentrate on what I was connected to, allow it to come through me with appreciation for others. I was going to now live my life receiving so I could give based off of 4 values. Number 1, gratitude. I was going to live my life in gratitude, finding the light, the love, and the lessons in everything. I was going to live in forgiveness, only forgiving myself so I could forgive others. Forgiveness gives me peace. Gratitude gave me perspective. I was now going to live my life above the line in accountability, telling myself and asking myself, what did I do to attract this to myself? What am I supposed to learn from it? And I was going to live inspired in this abundant world, in spirit, connected to at all times the greatest source of light, love, and lessons, allowing it to come through me with gratitude, forgiveness, and accountability for everything else that I was connected to. I was no longer going to create the weight shortages and obstacles and interference in my own life. I was going to live an abundant existence and allow all of my receiving to be given away through me. I got here with nothing and I was going to leave with nothing. And in between, I was going to live an instant between limitlessness and infinity. And so I started living my life and realized how important that philosophy of enjoying the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential, that philosophy was the closest I lived to my potential as an athlete. What if I would apply it to the things I actually was born with, a quantum memory, something I was good at? And so I started coming up with 5 daily practices that helps everyone make more money, help more people, and have more fun. And the first thing is I realized that everybody knows their why. That why was truly to me a huge excuse, especially in business. People are like, oh, I want to know what I love to do. I'm passionate. Well, I took a different philosophy. I believe that you need to know your what. And once you know your what, the why would be applied. The why is inherent in you to help somebody or something. It's quite obvious. And you'll figure that out once you figure out your what. In order to figure out your what, you need to take inventory of your values. So every day I started looking at my personal values, my experiential values, my giving values, and my receiving values. And I had a weighted balance every day between those values. It wasn't supposed to be balanced. In fact, I wasn't afraid of being a hypocrite. I wanted my values to change, which meant I was growing and learning and accelerating, that I wasn't living the life of myth of Sisyphus, where I was pushing a big boulder to the top of the hill every day just to have it roll down. But instead, I was plateauing and growing with my life, accelerating, finding my highest frequency. But it doesn't happen unless you have a basis of who you are, and those who you are is based on your value. And so I started taking inventory of my values every day, making my decision making easier, allowing me to be happy where I was every day through gratitude and forgiveness and accountability. Happy every day to live inspired, happy every day and tell myself I'm at the right place at the perfect time. And I'm going to use this day to angle to what I want and have faith that I'm going to end up somewhere better. And so the second thing that you need to do beyond taking inventory of values is to ask and attract. People ask me all the time, what's the best piece of advice you give your college self? I'll tell you what it is. Ask for help. Radical humility. I started a daily practice in person, on the phone, via email and media, radio, print, TV, and social media, asking one simple question. Do you know anyone that can help me? I started asking that question, followed by, what can I do to be of service to you, or how can I help you? But more importantly, shifting the paradigm of value, I wanted to receive, and no longer were everyone in my life a gatekeeper. I made millions of dollars teaching people how to overcome objections, go around objections, oversell, back and sell, cheat, lie, and manipulate to face everyone that's called a gatekeeper. I now living in a world of abundance, not in the world of to me, not in the world of for me, but the world of through me. I now treat everyone as a sponsor or a power sponsor of mine. I no longer create an illusion that people are gatekeepers. I live by and through people and sell through them that they are a sponsor. And if you treat everyone like a sponsor, then you only have to ask, do you know anyone that can help me? When I was young, most people only know 3 to 5 people. Today, on average, everyone has 1,000 people in their network. Imagine the exponentiality, acceleration, and growth that you could achieve by having faith that people are here to help you, and to ask them for that help simply by saying, do you know anyone that can help me? And if they know someone, they become a sponsor. And if they can help you and they know someone, they can become a power sponsor, exponentially helping you. That's how we become successful, by asking for help and asking how we can be of service or value. So number one, take inventory of your values. Two, ask and attract. Three, you're not going to like the name of three, but you're going to like the practice of number three. The name of three is study. And I know all of you are students, so you're like, what the F is Dave Meltzer talking about? He has a daily practice of studying. I'm done studying. This sucks. No, studying's different for me. Studying is the practice of paying attention to and giving intention to the coincidences in your life, to be more interested than interesting, to utilize your calendar, especially to study what you have planned during the day, what you don't have planned in the day. More importantly, that white space, that empty space in your calendar, and studying your sleep, to utilize two routines to study your life. One, a set routine. My today starts tonight. My tomorrow starts tonight. So at 9 o'clock, I start tomorrow by having a wind down routine. For if I told all of you that, hey, we're all going to go for an 8-hour run, I promise you, all of you would say, okay, let's warm up. Well, every night you go for an 8-hour rest. And guess what? You should be unwinding the same way you warm up. And because sleep is the most valuable thing you can do. When you sleep, your subconscious and unconscious mind is untethered by the ego consciousness that creates interferences, voids, shortages, and obstacles. The ego consciousness that accelerates you in the wrong direction. You have to utilize your sleep as a mechanism to success, to accelerate and grow, to plateau and grow, to live at your highest frequency, so that you start your tomorrow today with an unwind routine. And you can only do that if you're studying what you have planned, what you don't have planned, and your sleep. Remember, you're studying things with a lens. It's a Meltzer kaleidoscope, I call it. A lens, which is a kaleidoscope, one of productivity. You're studying what you have planned and don't have planned in your sleep for productivity. How much value can I provide? You're studying it for accessibility. How accessible am I to others? How connected am I? Not only to what is empowering, the light, love, and lessons that I'm always connected to, the greatest source of power in the world, but through me, what else am I connected to? Everything else. How am I untethered to that? And I only can do that through the lens of accessibility, because that allows me to be accessible to them without the interference, and access what I want by asking for help, utilizing the network of infinity of people, a network where everyone is connected to everyone, exponentially accelerating what we want, simply with theoretical humility to say, do you know anyone that can help me? Network after network after network. Imagine one person connected to 1,000 people every single day. If you just ask one person in the phone, on the email, social media, radio, print, imagine 4 people, that's 4,000 people a day, that's 120,000 people a month. In the old school, you could never get to that many people in a lifetime. You could do it every month. So you need to study what you have planned, what you don't have planned in your sleep. The fourth one, to me, is the easiest and very powerful one. A lot of people will tell you, you got to stay present. Stay in the present. When I was your age, I'm like, what the heck does that mean? Stay present. I'm present. I'm here. For me, it became quite obvious. I'm not a big fan of statistics. Some of you may be studying statistics. My mom made me take statistics because my dad was a compulsive gambler, and she thought, gosh, if I teach him statistics, he'll realize that the house is what he wants to be, not a gambler. And it actually worked. But the thing I hated about statistics was I realized by taking it that one statistic was true. 99% of all statistics are made up. And that drove me crazy. Especially if you look at our politics today, for example, it's just reeking of 99% of all statistics are made up. But I owned a golf course in my 30s, and I learned a second statistic that is 100% true. And if any of you play golf or watch golf or like golf, you'll realize that 100% of all short putts don't go in. And that's the truth. But more importantly than that, the statistic that I live by today is 100% of things that you do now get done. And the difference between successful people and all others is successful people get things done. So ask yourself every day is the fourth practice. Can I do it now? If you can do it now, do it. You will save yourself exponential time and get statistical success. And if you can't do it now, place it in your calendar, prioritize it by your values of what's important, personal, experiential, giving, receiving, and study it for tomorrow. Then finally, just to conclude before we get some Q&A, the fifth practice is a practice that I have done for my life. It creates the subtleties of success. It's a muscle practice, and it's called practicing ending fear. Some of you may be like me. I've wasted millions and millions of dollars of time, emotion, energy, and resources, and actual money with the needs of the ego, primary and secondary needs of the ego. I have a need to be right. I have a need to be offended. I have a need to be separate. I have a need to be inferior. I have a need to be not worthy and worthy and superior. I have a need to be anxious, frustrated, angry. I have a need to be worried. I have a need to be guilty. I have a need to be resentful. All of these needs aggregate themselves into interference, void, shortages, and obstacles that have cost me so much in my life. And I decided I was going to practice ending it. And I created a character called the Ferocious Buddha with 4 steps in order to practice ending fear. And now the first step is to identify what you're afraid of. And you can tell I've done a lot of practice to identify those needs of the ego that keep on rearing their ugly head every single day, even today. But I know that I'm in the practice of identifying it quickly so that number 2, I can stop. When you're in the ego-based consciousness, when you're in a need to be right, worried, anxious, frustrated, angry, you're accelerating in the wrong direction. And we've all ruined relationships and opportunities by worrying too much or feeling guilty or resentful or offended over nothing. And so I decided that the best thing I could do when I identify when I'm in that ego-based consciousness is just to stop. And then that takes a lot of ferociousness, by the way. If any of you are in a relationship, I've been married for 23 years, and it's quite infrequently, but when I do get into an argument, usually because I'm hangry, with my wife, I'm sitting there saying things while my head's going, shut up, stop, stop. Oh no, you didn't say that. Stop, stop. And I eventually stop. But then I start to be a Buddha and I breathe. I breathe deep through my nose, over my eyes, out through my mouth to the end of the universe, usually 6 breaths in order to get to center, to peace. If it doesn't work, I take another 6 breaths. And then I roll in the trajectory as a 4th step. I move to what I want according to my values, according to my ask for the day, according to the studying I've done, especially on my calendar of what I have planned, don't have planned in my sleep. And if I can do it now, I do it. I roll in the right direction. When you're in ego-based consciousness, when you're in primary and secondary fear, you are on fire, mentally, physically, spiritually on fire. Everybody knows when you're on fire, be a ferocious Buddha, stop, drop, and roll. I promise you, these are the subtleties of success. I'm going to tell you a quick story that probably applies to you and your friends, and then I'll take some questions and answers. These practices changed my life. And as I told you, I have a regular routine and adaptive routine based off on my non-negotiables of what I do. I usually wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, which is why my wind down routine starts at 9 the night before. I meditate for 20 minutes, which I encourage all of you to get in the practice of being quiet if you can. Start now while you're young. 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday. Don't get frustrated. It's a practice. It's like golf. The more you do it, the better you'll be. But after 20 minutes of meditation, I get ready and I spend an hour on my health working out, which is the primary value I have in my life, is to be healthy. And I suggest that all of you find something that you like to do that's healthy, a minimum of an hour a day that you can do the rest of your life. Put it before your family, put it before the activity you get paid for, you don't get paid for, put it before studying. Go ahead, an hour a day. If you don't take care of yourself, you won't take care of anyone else. You only have your health. Make sure you take that advice. 1 minute, minimum of an hour a day. Well, that's what I did. But one Saturday, I walk outside at 4:30. I'm at my highest frequency. I'm plateauing and growing, following my routine perfectly. And I walk outside and my 17-year-old daughter's car is missing. I immediately go into fear-based consciousness, ego-based consciousness, and I grab my phone and I'm about to call and ask her, where the F are you? Or where the F is your car? I'm furious. But Because I'm in the practice of being a ferocious Buddha, I identify, you're pissed. Stop. This is not going to be pretty. Stop. And I take the 6 breaths of Buddha and I ask myself, why are we feeling so angry? And I realize I'm not angry. You all know I'm afraid, right? I'm afraid that something's happened to someone that's so important to me that I'm responsible for. I'm actually terrified. And when I put myself into the truth based consciousness and start rolling in the right direction, meaning I just want to make sure my daughter's okay, I call her up in a different mindset because I'm in control of my mindset. I'm in control of my heart set, the way I feel. Now I feel compassion and forgiveness. And I call her up, and of course, she answers, and I wake her. Hey, where are you? I'm in my bed. Oh, thank goodness. Where's your car? Oh, daddy, you told me when kids were drinking that I shouldn't get in my car, so I Ubered home like you told me. Ah, thank goodness. I'm so proud of you. Oh, thanks, Dad. I'm sorry for waking you. It's okay. I love you, Dad. I love you too. And I hung up. This might sound minor to your lives, but I see this in personal lives and professional lives, a subtlety of understanding these practices. Because if I would have called her, and some of you may have received calls like this from your parents, completely pissed off, I would have said, where the are you? She would have said, in my room. Where's your car? It's at the grocery store. You told me when kids were drinking that I should Uber. You were drinking. I'm going to take your car and your phone. I can't believe how irresponsible. Dad, you told, I didn't tell you. I hate you. If that's not bad enough, ruining the bond and trust and credibility with the most important people in your life, what happens next time kids are drinking? And she decides, I don't want my dad to be mad at me. I don't want to lose my car. I don't want to lose my phone. I think I'll drive home. Her life could change forever. My life could change forever. Somebody else's life could change forever. Take this story and understand how powerful the subtlety of these daily practices based upon your own values, asking and attracting, being a student, doing it now, but especially practicing ending fear. These are practices. It may take you years like it did me to figure out, and then it takes you months, and then it may take you weeks, and then it may take you days, then it take minutes or even moments. And that's where I'm at today. When I'm in the ego-based consciousness, when I'm getting in my own way, whether it's about the currency of money, the object of energy that I put it in the flow, or the currency of faith, I get back to center, to peace, to abundance and prosperity so quickly without getting in my own way, without accelerating in the wrong direction. And if you guys can do this at this age, if I can be allowed to plant seeds under trees that I may never sit under, if you allow me to empower you with some of these ideas to be happy, and someday you empower someone else to empower someone else, I'm looking to create a collective consciousness over 1 billion people on earth. People think I'm crazy. My own family laughed at me, scoffed at me. Now people are applauding me because I can find 1,000 people to empower 1,000 people. That's 1 million. To empower another 1,000 people. That's 1 billion, and change the world. You have that power within you as well. And these are the steps and the tricks and the trades and the values and the daily activities so you can enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of your own potential. If you can do that and be happy, that'll make me happy. Thank you so much. Look forward to answering any questions about anything you want. I hope that was helpful.
Hi, I'm Winter Jacobs. I'm the treasurer for PBL. I had one question. In your experience, what do you think are the defining qualities of a great effective leader?
So the number one quality of an effective leader is an intelligent follower. All great leaders are intelligent followers. They're more interested than interesting. They're learning about what the issues are. They're displaying by their actions and empowering others, elevating others to elevate themselves. I have worked very hard as a leader to be an intelligent follower, to live with gratitude, to find the light, the love, and the lessons in the situation, forgiveness, to allow people to learn at their own pace and to grow and accelerate, to be accountable by asking myself, what did I do to allow this to happen or attract this to myself? And what am I supposed to learn from this? And then understanding the difference between motivation and inspiration. Leaders are inspirational. They are in spirit, connected to motivators. They will get you up. They'll get you back up. They'll get you started. They'll get you restarted, but they're not going to get you there. A leader is going to get you there with inspiration, allowing all the power and light and lessons that they've learned, the pain in their lives. You know, I joke around, but when I give speeches corporately, they're very expensive. And I say, well, at least I'm worth it. I said, if I came here and told you by paying me that much to speak, I'll pay everybody's state and federal income taxes, would you pay me more? And everyone's like, yeah, sure, that'd be great. Well, I'm paying something even greater, the dummy tax, because I've realized that pain, mental, physical, spiritual, financial pain, is not a stop sign. 99% of the people I know quit before they're 25% of the way there. Of the 1% that continue on, another 99% quit before they're 50% there. That's because they think pain is a stop sign. Pain is an indicator, it's a turn signal. It's pushing you to a better place, a better position. It's just indicating you have a lesson to learn. And if you live with gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration, you'll learn those lessons and you'll realize you are exactly where you're supposed to be. You have everything you need. You live in a world of abundance of more than enough of everything for everyone. And you are just angling to what you want with faith that you're going to end up somewhere better. And you can do that when you realize pain is a turn signal, not a stop sign.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Winter.
So to go off the bat, whenever you find that stop sign or something that's keeping you back, whether it be people, adversary, or anything else, what do you do to overcome that if it's not from, maybe it's not, I don't know, maybe that's a question I want to ask.
Sure, that's a good question. So one, I believe in a great feeding chain. And within the feeding chain, there's variances of the 3 stages of feeding. One is somebody feeding you? Then feed them. If someone's not feeding you, within a variance, allow them to separate themselves from you. And then if someone's bleeding you, in a variance, allow them to completely fall away or fire them from your lives. When you receive resistance, pain, the best thing to do is, it's an indicator you have a lesson to learn. How do we learn lessons? By understanding. So the first step that you want to do is understand where the other person, place, situation is occurring by being more interested than interesting, asking for help, doing all of these different practices. And then if you can't get a resolve with that pain, especially if it's a person, I pray for their happiness. Right? Remember this lesson. It takes as much energy to change a closed mind as it does to change 1,000 open minds. When I teach sales, I tell people, there's 5 steps: to stimulate interest, transition interest, share a vision, manage and develop that vision, and thrive. But that first step of stimulating interest, I used to get very specific about what does that avatar look like of the perfect person I should sell? Who's the lowest hanging fruit? And I'd waste all this time because I didn't have the ask and attract strategy. I had a gatekeeper strategy with resistance, voids, and shortages in my way. But once I created an abundant attitude and realized, really, all I need to do is stimulate interest of people with an open mind and ask them for help. And there's a lot more people with open minds than closed minds. And when I come upon someone's closed mind, I use a 3 no rule and realize that if I ask them 3 questions and they say no 3 times, I thank them, pray for their happiness, and move on to find someone that has an open mind. When I receive no, by the way, if I'm like Jack Canfield, who I wrote my 3rd book with called Creating the Life You Love, Unstoppable, one of the things that I talk about is that I have a 25 no rule. And, when he had, I think, 120 people say no, that his book sucked, and every publisher almost on earth said no to him, and he continued on because he believed and had faith in what he was doing. And when he finally got published, Chicken Soup for the Soul sold as many books. Only the Bible has sold more, over 500 million books sold, after 122 people said no. So I have a 25 no rule that says I'm only 25 no's from getting what I want. Therefore, every time I get a no, I just get that much closer to what I want. I get excited after 1 no. I get stupid after 20 no's. And it really is a framework and a mindset to allow myself to accelerate and grow. One of the things I'd love to teach you real quick is segmentation. I wish somebody would have taught it to me. Do you guys know who Gary Vaynerchuk is? So Gary's an entrepreneur, and I consulted for him and his brother to build a sports agency 3 Super Bowls ago. And, I had run the most notable sports agency. I had a global marketing and media sports company called Sports One Marketing with a Hall of Fame quarterback, Warren Moon. And, Gary wanted my help. And I asked Gary if he would help me build my brand on Instagram. And the reason I asked him is the fastest way to get to where you want to go is find someone that's there and ask them how to get there. You got to be radically humble to do it. So I asked him, how do you get there? And he looked at me and he said, well, why do you want to do that? I said, because I have a 20-year plan to be the most popular 70-year-old on the internet. And he said, how old are you? I said, 50. He said, 20 years? I said, yeah. He said, well, how are you going to get there? I said, I just need you to teach me how to use social media to get 2 ambassadors a year. He said, you want 2 followers a year? I said, no, I don't want followers. I want 2 ambassadors a year. I want 2 people that will tell 2 people, you got to watch David's TV show, Elevator Pitch. You got to watch David's TV show, 2-Minute Drill. You got to go to his free trainings on Friday. You got to read his 4 bestsellers. You have him as an executive. You have to follow David Meltzer and learn from David Meltzer. You got to go to all his speeches and everything that he does. I love Dave Meltzer. You need Dave Meltzer. I just need 2 of those a year. And he said, really? How's that going to make you the most popular person on the 70-year-old on the internet? I said, well, it's 20 years. I said, Gary, you know when I'll be halfway there? He said, yeah, 10 years. I said, no. That's the problem. That's the problem with everyone. They think in business, they think in media, they think in branding, they think in life that it's linear. You don't grow that way. You don't grow that way. It's 19 years before I'll be halfway there. If I can get 2 people that get 2 people, get 2 people, it's 18 years before I'm 25% of the way there, which is why 99% of the people quit before they're 25%, because it's actually 18 years. You have to actually go 90% of the way there before you're 25% of the way there. So most people feel stuck. They want to quit. There's too much pain and they quit and they become one of those 99 percenters instead of the 1% of the 1%. Understand things accelerate, grow, and expand, and that you have to utilize time. Now, the cool thing is if you do things right and enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of the potential, 20 years may not take 20 years. It's just 20 segments. So instead of years, pretty soon, the first year you get 2 people, the next 11 months you get 4 people, the next 10 months you get 8 people, the next 9 months, pretty soon you're doubling, and it's only less time until you're at 20 segments, which is 2 million people getting 2 million people, which would make me the most popular 70-year-old on the internet. And I'm on my way in 3.5 years because I understand acceleration. I understand consistent, persistent behavior. I do not attach my emotions to my outcome. I attach my emotions to the enjoyment of the consistent, persistent pursuit of my outcome. My friend Chris Gardner, he made the book and movie with Will Smith, Pursuit of Happiness. Happiness is the pursuit, everyone. Enjoy the light, love, and lessons. Learn to love what you're doing. I'm around the greatest celebrities, athletes, entertainers. I have been around millionaires, billionaires, and entrepreneurs. And I'll tell you this about all of those fantastic people that carry the spirit of excellence, that have a desire to must be what they can be. I'll tell you one thing about them, though. Their life sucks just as much as yours. The same percentage of your day that sucks, the same percentage of their day sucks. The difference is they've learned through the lens of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude to find the light, the love, and the lessons in what sucks. They have learned to love everything that they do. They find that, and so do I, and so can you. You own and control your mindset. You own and control how you feel, what you think, say, do, and hear. You control it. Start practicing it every day. Allow those muscles to build exponentially and accelerate, grow, so that you can get what you want faster, that you no longer believe, as I do, right? Money doesn't buy love or happiness, but I'll tell you what money does as a currency. It allows you to shop. And if you shop for the right things, not the things you don't need, not things to impress people you don't like, but you shop for the right things that allow you to come through and empower other people, I promise you, you will receive so much joy and happiness, you won't know what to do. Any other questions, my friends?
Hi, my name is Clayton, and I am the vice president for Kansas PBL. So I'm a journalism student. And I want to be in the field, within the next 3 or 4 years. So I guess my question is, what are your tips for listening? I love asking people what your tips are for listening.
Great question. 3 types of listeners. There's the interrupter, and the interrupter, the minute you start telling them what they want you to hear, they interrupt. They just want to know what they want to say. Then most people are what I call waiters, and a waiter, they pretend to listen to what you're saying, but they can't wait to tell you what they want to tell you. And then you have people who are more interested than interesting. And the tips to be more interested than interesting is to open a question, keep an open-ended question. What do you do today? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? And keep on learning until you can create synergistic alignment, supplementary alignment with your capabilities, your skills, your knowledge of what and who you know, and your desire, how it's aligned with what they do, what they like and what they don't like, and how you can be of service or value, and who they know that can help you. That only happens to people that are more interested than interesting. And the only way you can be more interested than interesting is to listen and ask open-ended questions to learn about someone and get alignment so that you can do that. So don't be an interrupter. Don't be a waiter. Be more interested than interesting and ask open-ended questions, and then use closed-ended questions if you need to say, would it help you if I babysat for you? Would it help you if I had an app that transcribed at 99 cents a day for you? Would it help you if I gave you free trainings on Friday? Would it help you if I put you on my TV show? Would it help? But those questions don't come until you learn and are more interested than interesting. Don't be an interrupter. Don't be a waiter. Be more interested than interesting. Ask open-ended questions and use closed-ended questions to see where your capabilities, skills, knowledge, and desire are aligned, supplementary, or synergistic to how not only you can be of service to them, but they can help you.
Awesome. Thank you, David.
Thanks, Clayton. Can I ask you guys a question? I know I went a little bit off topic, but I wanted to get to a deeper subject that I thought could empower you than the pragmatic side. I'm more than happy to answer very, detailed questions, if you're interested. But was this helpful at all? I know it was different than probably you normally get in your group, but was this something you wanted to learn?
I, for one, thought it was very helpful and learned some good tips.
All right, good. I want to make sure that my time is well spent helping you with what you want help with. But I thought mindset and heart set were 2 things, especially today with accelerated change. Remember, there's no uncertainty different than any other day. Like, I hate people that are like, oh, this is such uncertain times. Just look, if any of you could tell me what's going to happen tomorrow for sure, just call me. We'll make billions of dollars together. If you could tell me what's going to happen. So as far as I know, tomorrow's always the same uncertainty. The only difference is that we've created a compressed accelerated change. There's great change, but do not waste a crisis, everyone. With great change comes great opportunity. And if you're looking for the light, the love, and the lessons in the change, this is where the margins of millionaires are made. The people that smile through the struggle and find the light, love, and lessons in great change, you will have an extraordinary opportunity that others will look back with, and you'll say, oh yeah, back in 2020 when everybody was eating shit, I made $6 million because I saw an opportunity that never existed before. Trust me, you'll hear those stories in 2030. Be one of those stories.
Do you have time for one more question?
Absolutely.
So I think I learned how to word this question correctly. So I'm a video production student. I do all kinds of stuff with video production. Can you help me? And if you, and if you can't, do you know anybody who can? And if you can, what can I do to help you?
Well, we can help each other. One, probably besides the number one need that I have is in video production. Obviously, if you have seen my stuff, I got a ton of videos and I got TV shows and content on every platform. I believe in the stage theory, especially for the future, right? We got to capture everything we do, modify it correctly with producers like you for every single platform, even ones that don't exist. We need to amplify it correctly in those platforms through advertising, through channel partnerships, through people and asking, and then you got to perpetuate it. A lot of people don't understand the perpetual nature of content and the strategy of monetizing perpetual content. So producing it so that people that go and find Dave Meltzer 20 years ago, when I'm the most popular 72-year-old on the internet, that my TED Talk from 4 years ago is still something that is of value, the same way that The Office and, Grey's Anatomy are interesting to my teenage daughters all summer, binge watching that shit. I want to be the same way. And so, I have tons of video production opportunity to use you, to refer you out to, and to teach you through some of the leading video people in the world on TV, movie, and social media, from the VaynerMedia guys that we work with, to my own team, to outsource people that I've utilized, to my TV show Elevator Pitch and my new one, 2-minute drill, that got picked up by Bloomberg and Amazon. There's a ton of different stuff that we can do. So if you can kind of send me some samples, I'm more than happy to send every one of my books that you guys have, but other books if you want them, exercises, guides. Everyone's invited to come to my free trainings every Friday. If you miss it, I'm featured on Spotify. I got one of the top podcasts called The Playbook. I'm featured on Entrepreneur Magazine. You can reach me there. I'm on every platform. Not every platform features me like Spotify and Entrepreneur, but you can find me. And I invite you to ask me for any help that I can give you. Your success is my success. I will elevate others to elevate myself. I live my entire life to allow it to come through me. Don't pay the dummy tax that I've paid. Just ask me how I got there, or where to go, or who to help you. I'm about 1 degree of separation from that. So please be like Tanner, ask for what you need. I'm sure we'll figure out a mutual value in it. Does that sound fair? My email is david@dmeltzer.com. Jacob put it in the notes, david@dmeltzer.com. I do have a text community too, if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff. It's 949-298-2905. We can put that in the notes, or I can send it by email, 949-298-2905. Thank you so much. I know it's getting late for you guys, but thank you for this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to seeing the great things that all of you do.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for your time.
You got
It's
it.
appreciated.
Have a wonderful evening. Take care, everyone.
Thanks,
Be kind
David.
to
All right, you too.
yourself.